This is in the agenda more as an early warning sign than anything else. We're not going to be reading the financial policy. What we are going to do is be announcing that I expect at our next meeting, I haven't set the agenda for the next meeting, but I expect at our next meeting, we will have the second official reading of those financial policies. So this is a reminder to ourselves mostly, but also to the public who care, to take a look at those. Okay. Be prepared.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah, and I didn't want to just drop it on people, okay. But at the same time, it's not something that that has been totally forgotten. It's something we want to get done, and I want to get done. So a heads up.
Would we consider taking it piece by piece?
I think that's a reasonable question, and something that maybe I'll talk about with Ms. Heber and see if we can come up with a logical split and maybe look at.
It's a lot.
It's a ton, and frankly, one of my bugaboos, as some people know, is that Plainville needs to kind of grow up around the way we do a lot of things, and this is part of that growing up. And it's painful. It's just painful, but it's also painful. It was painful to be joining the board when we didn't have a free cash policy or a reserve stabilization fund policy, and we got ourselves in trouble.
I think it's worthwhile. But if my own perspective, I started going through it, and I'm like, this is going to take me like a long time. It's
a very fair point.
I want to do it. I want to give it its attention.
If you want, I think we could do it as a work group. In other words, outside of the meeting, still posted because the select board would be a majority. But we could do it some night, some weekend, whatever.
Yeah, in a more casual environment.
And more casual. Just read through each one, start flagging things we don't like or we want to reword. It doesn't have to be. First of all, there's no limit to the number of readings you can have.
Yep.
I like them right, not fast.
Okay.
And the most important factor is that changing it isn't really a problem in the future, but I don't want to have massive changes for silly reasons.
Right. If we're going to
do it, the first.
Correct. So I'm perfectly willing to, if you want to pick a night, and we'll post it, and we'll pull anybody who wants to participate is fine. But the financial team, which would be Janet and Julie, myself, and the select board, maybe even somebody from the finance committee to be present, to go through it page by page. So you don't really have to do any homework. You come to class unprepared, and we'll go through it.
We'll do it together.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd be on board with that, or break it into pieces if we're going to.
If you break it into pieces, then we're going to go to the meeting. We're going to have formal comments.
Yeah.
Would be nice if we came with a document that we've all vetted, and then just pass it as one.
Okay. Either way.
That'd be my recommendation.
Either way works for me.
But I see Ms. Hebert has a question, and I really want to hear what she has to say.
Just a comment. So while I want to go through it, I want to make sure it's accurate. I will say, somewhat to Brian's point, once we have it in place, it's great, but we can always amend it. I mean, there are things that come up every year, so even if we take an annual look at it and adjust from there, I think the important thing for us at this point is to have something approved, because if we're going to get our credit re-rated, which I anticipate some point soon in the next year, we want to make sure that these are already voted and in place before that happens. It's an essential piece of that re-rating to have approved financial policies and procedures in place that address specific things that we have in the current draft. And again, we update as things come up, when they're looking at OPEB, or do you have a policy for this? We want to add those in every year, because that's what those agencies are looking for when they're rating us, to make sure you have a policy for X, Y, and Z. So. Sooner looking through it and going through it in depth is great, but the sooner we can kind of get that together, which I appreciate Jeff putting this on everyone's agenda again, because again, I'm not sure when we'll have the re-rating. I assume it's within the next year, but I'd like to have everything approved beforehand.
Okay. All right. So if that's the case, maybe the single night event might make sense.
Single night or Saturday afternoon.
Saturday afternoon. Yeah.
Jeff will bring cookies.
I'll bring cookies. I'll bring enough for anybody wants to show up.
All right.
Okay. So I'll take an action item then to find a date with Mr. Kelly and Ms. Clark and Mr. Johnson for starters, and how that can work with you guys, and then we'll we'll publish it and folks can show up if they want or not show up. Or the other thing, when we get to that point, I assume people will have access on our website to the current working documents, and I personally am always open to comments if anybody wants to send me an email with suggestions or a conversation as well. Could even be a topic at our next office hours. So feel free for that.